What's going on, everybody? I'm Tom.
I'm Pat.
And I'm Zach.
We're best friends, and you're listening to the Reminiscent Podcast. They say you can't choose your family. Well, you also can't choose which era of music you grew up in. This is a weekly show where we discuss our favorite bands from adolescence and how they continue to shape our lives today. Each week, we'll head back to the early 2000s and take a closer look at the cards we were dealt. Good evening, Patrick.
Good evening, sir. Disclaimer to all. If my heater turns on, this is not the fault of Tom, who is an excellent audio engineer, but rather it is -3 degrees Fahrenheit. That's not a wind chill in Cincinnati right now. And in the interest of the health of my dog and wife, I am not going to let it go lower than that. And here we go.
Much to my disdain. Whatever. It's cold.
Lines have to be drawn.
Right. So.
You got some housekeeping notes, right?
Oh, yeah. We've got some housekeeping notes. I was the victim of a very nasty Facebook message from Queen Amanda.
Apologies,
as always.
Yes.
We miscredited the idea for the Newfound Glory episode to Amanda, and she messaged me saying, "Is there some other bitch? Because I will fight her to the death." Like almost verbatim.
Amanda was like 2 years older than us at Academy at our high school, so she's like an urban legend. So the fact that she even listens and communicates with us now, still, it's kind of like when you meet people, you still kind of view them as the first time you met them throughout life, no matter what happens. But she's super nice. Apologies, of course, but through the lens of the high school sophomore I was, it's like I couldn't be more ashamed or embarrassed. I brought shame on my household for sure. So deep apologies from the Reminiscent team.
We do want to give proper credit to JJ from Reddit, from the Pop Punkers group, who actually...
Some Reddit credit.
...was the one who reached out wanting a Newfound Glory episode. I guess it's one of his favorites. So there you go, man. I haven't heard. I don't know.
And you are still putting out feelers for... We're going to do... People have been submitting audio for Reputation reviews. But I'd say we open it up to if people want to give audio reviews of the episodes or bands or their takes, and we can put them on the show later. I think I wouldn't mind opening it up to that as well.
Yeah, we're desperate for content, people.
No, we've been getting a few, but if you wanted, you don't have to just talk about the Reputation and the album from Taylor.
Anything, yeah.
Yeah, any feedback is welcome. Also, quick note.
Yeah.
If you want to we've sent out Ron Carnage, the final draft of Ron Carnage, Thinker Boy, to a bunch of test readers who are going to give us feedback before we publish in mid-March is the current date that we have set the goal for ourselves. If you want to get in on that just to read it for free, you don't even have to help us. Just get in touch with Tom or tweet at us at _reminiscentfm. That'd be great, and we would appreciate the help.
Yeah, and some more follow-up from the Newfound Glory episode before we roll into this Punk Goes, etc. episode.
Oh, God. I can't believe we're finally doing it.
So, like 2 days, or maybe the day after the episode aired, where we talked about Newfound Glory and talked for quite a while about From the Screen to Your Stereo, they announced the From the Screen to Your Stereo to Your Town tour. And I think all the hype we built around it on our episode is actually what got them to plan and book a full tour in one day.
Hands down, without a doubt.
I don't know if it has anything to do with maybe them announcing their third one. Maybe it's been planned for a while, but I think we gave them that final boost.
Right, sure.
And just trendsetters for sure. So yeah. I mean, it was just funny. Like, as we were talking about cover albums, Weezer releases the Teal album. Like,
I got the email from the fan club, the night.
As we were recording.
Breaking news.
And then the next day, Newfound Glory's like, you want to tour a bunch of cover albums?
I picture like this really corny movie scene where Newfound Glory's in a room with a guy with a suit, and he's like, I don't know if we can do this tour. Is there anybody even talking about you anymore? It's like, yeah, Reminiscent Podcast. Be like, damn it, call it in. We're doing the tour. Yeah. And then cut to them on a bus having fun. Haley Williams is here again. I don't know. They're getting the band back together from the music video for... Never
mind. Getting the marriage back together.
Getting the marriage, which is A phrase is you'd love to hear more in life. Hopefully that would mean good vibes are flowing. But that's neither here nor there. I actually want to talk about that for the next hour. The made-up phrase, getting the marriage back together, because that's hilarious to me. We're getting the marriage. He's just showing up at people's houses like the stepdad's just like, wait, what the Carol, do you care to explain? Anywho, we're doing the Punk Goes ... episode today. Do you have any thoughts before we dig deep and get into it?
I don't have any fun facts, which is upsetting because I really wanted
to know. It's hard
to
find.
I know. I wanted to know the origins of like...
Okay, alien spaceship lands. What the hell are you talking about? There were CD compilation things in the 90s? What's happening here? What was this?
Yeah, I mean, some like smaller labels in this genre would put out compilation CDs of...
What's the most famous example?
Oh, I don't know, dude. I
now that's what I call music. Close second,
no,
Kids
no.
Bop.
No, I mean like, my old band was on like a compilation from some local like small New Jersey label, and really the label is using it to like kind of boost their own. It's like a marketing thing for the label. Like none of the bands are actually on that label or anything. So Fearless Records, I don't know if they were up and coming at the time. This is like 1999 when the first one came out with Punk Goes Metal. But Fearless Records is the label that puts all these out. And some of the bands are signed to them, but others aren't. And they're signed to, I don't know if there's really competition with record labels, but, I saw a lot of like Victory Records and stuff, No Sleep, Hopeless. And my first, I just wanted to know the legalities of it. Because these bands are signed to a label. They put everything out on their label. So when Fearless is like, hey, can we have a song? I just want to know what the paperwork looks like, because I think that's really fascinating how it's...
I don't think this is kind of on a different side of things. This wasn't exactly there used to be hilarious infomercials of super specific mixed CDs. Basically, they would sell CDs of playlists. They would, so they'd put Nickelback and Three Doors Down and those types of bands on one CD, and they'd be like, from classic hits such as, you know what I mean? But this wasn't that. This was more like Kids Bop in the sense that they were taking the art, morphing it in some way, and making a new mix and selling it. Where I guess now that's what I call music was more like the mix CD thing, in the sense that they just took the top 10 songs from that year. I think they recently got up to now that's what I call music 69, and Twitter went nuts. I think that was like a month ago. But it's just one of those things that when the alien, I'm on a big alien trip tonight apparently, but when they land, they're like, they celebrated, they're like going around the room, like, any notes from the wreckage? Yeah, there's something about, it's called Now That's What I Call Music, and people kind of were moderately amused when it got up to the 69th iteration, which again is the sex position that we've discussed. But moving on. Anyway, you want to dig in? Or I have a few quips. Are we ready?
Let's do it.
Just to set the scene a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, light drum roll, please. Punk Goes Pop Volume 7. How about Punk Goes away for a little while? Chiodo's covering Flagpole Sitta by Harvey Danger. Sign me up, said someone standing in the room at the time, we assume. Song 2 by Blur. Half the lyrics are woo-hoo. Great choice for a record full of covers. Plenty of room for the Plain White Tees to make it their own. Hey there, Delilah, Stay in Your Lane, which is embedded in my MySpace page in 2008. Punk Goes Pop Volume 6, the strangely emotional kids bop for young adults that nobody asked for. I wish I was a little bit taller. I wish I was a baller. I wish I had chosen to listen to the original version of this song. Punk Goes Crunk was a mistake. Bedlight for Blue Eyes, not exactly a sight for sore eyes. Maybe take it easy on the forgettable covers and spend time planning that reunion tour you're inevitably going on with Mayday Parade, and Boys Like Girls, and Cute Is What We Aim For, and The Main, and We the Kings, and Metro Station. Call the Bare Naked Ladies. Maybe they'll let you co-open for Hootie and the Blowfish this summer in Kansas City. Yeah, that's it.
Dude, Bedlight for Blue Eyes.
When I saw them, I was like, oh, Tom, the bands I listened to because I imported your iTunes library. No disrespect to the Bare Naked Ladies, of course, even though we hate on them consistently every week. I wish I had $1 million too, man. Anyway, quick first note. Rufio is on like 2/3. I think Rufio might be only famous because they are on 2/3 of these compilations. I don't know if I can name a hit by them, but I know that they run a ton of these.
Right. Oh, man, Rufio. I only know like 3 songs.
Right.
And they're all from this.
Right. So in 2000, Punk Goes Metal drops, which is an interesting because when people probably first heard of these mixes, they probably heard of the goes pop or goes rap or goes
Right.
crunk. But punk goes metal was actually the first thing, which punk goes metal, and some of these, they're not really stretching too far. It's just bands that have a similar sound covering songs that would be a similar sound. So it wasn't, maybe that's why it didn't hit at first. Like they knew they had to, use punk as a channel to recreate certain other types of songs to get notoriety maybe. But you noted that there were a couple, two bands that stood out to you, it sounds like.
Yeah, Newfound Glory being on it with Heaven, which is like one of the first songs I heard of them because that's what like LimeWire had at the time, or Kazaa or whatever. And the Aquabats, I always forget about them.
Yeah, dude. Pool Party.
There was an interesting note here that the Aquabats didn't cover a song, or it wasn't a cover. They like covered one of their own songs, which I think is interesting.
And again, also, not super possible.
So what I thought was really interesting about punk goes metal is the definition of metal was very different in the year 2000.
In the year 2000.
So it's funny to me that like these bands are like more punk than what people call punk now, and the metal was less metal than what people call now. And then, not to fast forward too far, but when you go to like 2000, I think it's 2012. Yeah, it was like so weirdly heavy. All the bands in that, like Issues and all them. I mean, it kind of makes sense for the year that it was, but like all of a sudden the punk version of the compilation CDs get like super fucking heavy. And it was just like kind of interesting to see that like flip a little bit. I don't know if I said that clearly at all, but you can see in real time the definition of punk and metal be like redefined through a decade of these CDs, records.
The names of the bands and their sounds change too. I don't know if I'm on the same page as you are, but change occurs for sure. I mean, Rufio is different inherently than Forever the Sickest Kids and Chiodos. Just like the vibe is drastically different at the end of this crazy, weird experiment that these compilation CDs kind of take us through. My quick note about the Aquabats is finding out that, as a Blink fan, finding out Travis Barker had roots in their little costume fake superhero band was like the end of Sixth Sense to me. It was like uncovering this new world of wonder. Also, Pool Party, bops for sure. La 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 la. In 2002 is probably, I think, where we start to hear the things, or some of these songs, or I start to recognize what was on your iTunes library and stuff. It's Punk Goes Pop 1. The first standout to me was I'm Real, a J-Lo and Ja Rule cover that was on Zach Paulson's mixtape playlist from the year 2000. If you can go back and listen to that episode, we have the 2001 mixtape playlist draft out as well that you can hear. They did a good job, right?
Yeah. That was, again, we talked about.
Can't go on without you. They nailed I'm sure it's just Kenny harmonizing with himself, but they did an all right job. It's kind of forgettable in terms of what's to come later, but.
And again, just these bands we've talked about in the past being a victim of just downloading the singles on LimeWire. That was one of like the few songs I heard first of the starting line before I discovered torrents and can find their whole albums.
I'm surprised Punk Goes even kept selling these. I'm surprised they even survived the era. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I would ask 100,000,000 people. I would love to know what the percentage of people is like, yeah, I got the CD, and that's how it was on my iTunes library. I'm like, yeah, you're lying. There's no way. There's no way.
Well, some of them later on actually ended up like hitting charts. So
really,
it was a slow start for them, but it picked up steam for sure.
See, because of the LimeWire thing, I didn't even know that Punk Was Pop 1. I didn't even know this cover existed, and I didn't even know this was on it. Yellow Card doing Everywhere by Michelle Branch.
Oh, so good.
That is like a match made in freaking... That could have been a Yellow Card song anyway. And that song is probably in my top 100 songs anyhow.
Of all time?
Probably.
Wait, Michelle Branch or Yellow Card?
Everywhere by Michelle Branch is probably in my top 150 maybe.
Oh, wow.
It's a bop.
It's
Yellow Card does a fantastic job with it.
Yeah.
When I saw it, I was like, yes, I can't wait to make this playlist and listen to it all week in preparation for the show. The great song, Punk Was Pop, pretty forgettable. There's only like 2 or 3 on any given CD that probably jumped out to anyone, which is probably why none of these CDs. I guess there's freaking 69 now. That's what I call music. So maybe these are great. I don't know. But maybe that's all it takes to spark interest is 2 or 3 things that mean anything to any one person. But they followed that up the next year in 2003 with Punk Goes Acoustic, which to me was hugely forgettable. There's not a ton on here. Punk Goes Acoustic 2 is probably where you remember most of your stuff, and we can get to that a little later. But there is a Taking Back Sunday, cute without the E, acoustic version, but I couldn't find a song in there that really meant anything to me at all.
Yeah.
Again, this Punk Goes Metal, Punk Goes Pop with only 2 that stood out to me anyway. And then Punk Goes Acoustic 1 is a bit of I'm not seeing why this is even an experiment they continued at this point.
Yeah, I feel like I would have probably given up at this point, like if I were the project leader of this. Because, I mean, you have Taking Back Sunday covering one of their best songs.
It's got to be incredibly cheap as an endeavor, right?
Well, there's something that I do want to get to later on in this episode after we discuss the standout songs and why I think this is, for the most part, a
neat
failed
radio
experiment.
trick, Tom, because we're not going to talk about it right now. Are we going to talk about it later? You bet your ass we are.
It is something I find very important about this whole series, but yeah, we'll get
I
to
can't wait. Let's blow right through Punk Goes Acoustic 1 because there's nothing else to mention. It's this experiment that started in 2005, takes a year off in 2004 after what had to have been some questionable record sales at best. But yet, they come back hard with Punk Goes 80s. They're going hard after the cover thing again. They went Punk Goes Acoustic. Like, let's just see how that works, which is kind of a drift in ideology. Anyway, Punk Goes 80s and Halifax, the song they were born to cover, straight up by Paula Abdul. They just absolutely murder it. I love that song and cover so much. And did you have any thoughts about this song or CD? Any favorites?
I hate the 80s, man.
I'm sure 80s kids hate the 2000s, so
I'm absolutely sure. But
show.
Like gated reverb, get the out. I mean, it's coming back anyway, but I don't know, dude. Everything sounded so bad.
They were good songs, though. They're just the tools that were there. Like,
yeah, just super primitive.
It was like the Newfound Glory cover we talked about last week. Like, I'm sorry, but I'm not. There's good songs. It's just goofy synth and stuff. I like the Paula Abdul song. And this is one of those things where, again, of course, I didn't see any of these full records ever in anyone's car or anything.
I know.
Like, there's the fucking Bangles cover of Manic Monday by Reliant K. Like, I would have been all over that. And it's good. It's really good. Reliant K was actually on a few of these, and much to my appreciation and surprise. So thumbs up or thumbs down to Punk Goes 80s?
Thumbs down to the 80s.
Oh, you're just taking a stand. Won't stand for it. Well, here's something that might be a little up your alley. They doubled down. And then in 2006, 1 year later, Punk Goes 90s. What do you think?
I think it's very fitting album art, right? It's the play off of Nirvana's
Nirvana Baby,
Nevermind. Not sure how they got away with that, but
they put a mohawk on the baby, I think. That's probably enough.
Right.
And they covered up the wiener, so...
So, even at this point, it's just starting to get to like more bands that more songs I would recognize, but also the bands covering them. I'm starting to like get involved in the music scene and start listening to the bands that are doing these now.
We're firmly in high school at this point. We are.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. Cartel covering Wonderwall. The first time I saw them do that song was the we've talked about this on the show, the AOL live session. And it was like the greatest cover of all time.
It's probably the greatest thing Cartel ever did was this song. Because everything else was kind of forgettable.
No, dude, Chroma is one of the greatest.
We got to do an episode, but I'm saying like in terms of things that they accomplished, their pop songs were just pop songs. Their cover of Wonderwall is like, they got after it. I mean, we'll talk about Chroma at a further date, but they did pretty good. A lot of Britpop on this record. Song 2, as we mentioned in the quips, was covered by the Plain White T's, which I'm surprised the Plain White T's were already on the scene this heavily to have been featured like this.
Yeah.
Gym Class Heroes, which we should do an episode on for sure. did Under the Bridge by Red Hot Chili Peppers. Travis McCoy, he's a star. Gym Class Heroes' sound is just spectacular. I wish there was like hours and hours and many, 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 many more albums of theirs to listen to. But Paper Cuts is a classic, of course. I think actually they played at was it the Hangout in Edinburgh? I think Steve Bassano said he saw them there once back when they were real, getting things started, which was exciting to hear.
Nice.
And this is the one I've been dying to ask you about because you went through when you were kind of finding God in high school. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
I'm saying, I don't know if that was exactly during your Bed Light for Blue Eyes phase, but I want you to at least describe Bed Light for Blue Eyes, why you fell for them so hard, and how you feel about their cover of Jumper by Third Eye Blind.
Pat, I haven't heard their cover of Jumper by Third Eye Blind. And
it's
honestly,
pretty down the middle.
I can't believe that I didn't. The thing that I loved about Bed Light for Blue Eyes, I saw them at the Ford Hall. Had no idea they were playing. They were just like on the tour package, you know. And
for those who don't know,
singer,
it's just like angelic voice person and generic band. Is that right?
Yeah, kind of. And I remember like they came out onto the stage. They did like went into the first song without saying anything, and I just thought like this dude's voice is fucking amazing. So the first song ended, and he's like, "Guys, I'm really sorry my voice sounds so bad. I have like a really bad cold." And I was just like, there's no way that he sounded that good and he can hardly talk, but he played the whole set like a fucking champion, dude. And it just like blew my mind. And I was really young at this point. I would have been 15, maybe 14 when they were putting out music. And I went up and was like, dude, I cannot believe how good you are, even like being that sick. And he was just like so like humble about it. He was like, thanks, man. You know, it means a lot. Who did you come here for? And it just like, that was like, you know, I thought they were like famous, right? And just like how he talked to me, just like, oh yeah, thanks, bud. It just kind of blew my mind. So
they never reached total fame, right? Maybe Fuse fame?
No, I don't know. I think they flew pretty under the radar for the most part.
Okay, I was going to say, like, I don't know why they're on my radar, but they were on this explains it, your experience with them.
I
picture like
it,
Sharpay in My High School Musical, the guy that hangs with her, like acting the same and singing at the same pitch and volume and everything, just with rock music behind it and like being just as theatrical. That's just what I picture. Is that what it's like at all to see Bed Light for Blue Eyes live?
Yeah, you know,
just like a grown-up theater kid with a pop punk band behind him.
Kind of, you know, it was like pretty effeminate. He had, you know, insane vibrato. It did seem like a theater kid that loved.
It was like the wrong genre. It was just like, this dude is ripping it up, but nobody here, nobody can be into this. Like, you were like, dude, I live and die for this band. That's not a direct quote. You never said that, but you were very into them at the time.
They
did a good job with Jumper. I mean, he just sings it well, but I'd rather hear Third Eye Blind do it because that's kind of why the song hits us. Because they do it in their own way. Anyhow.
Sure. Before we move on, I don't think I got around to it, but I wanted to say that the recorded audio version of Wonderwall that Cartel does pales in comparison to their live version on AOL Sessions. So
AOL Sessions.
I remember listening to it in like the lunch line at Academy being like, this feels so low energy compared to what they did live, and being like mortified.
The guitar solo at the end is...
And he hits those high notes, and they bury them so much in like the audio version.
And it was kind of before we got to college, and the meme of, or like the overplayed joke of the guy who learns how to play acoustic and only plays Wonderwall at parties and pisses everybody off thing.
Yeah.
Like, it was still a new enough song. Like, we were a little too young to enjoy Oasis. Like, we weren't like 7 years old bumping What's the Story, Morning Glory. Like, man, Britpop is really taking off. Like Pulp and Blur weren't like CDs in our... Anyway, it doesn't matter. So, but it was still fresh enough to be cool. That the cover was still fresh to us. It was really good. And this goes without saying, but Punk Goes 80s probably would have hit with us more had we grown up in the decade.
Sure.
Punk Goes 90s was solid. Did you give it a thumbs up?
I'll give it a thumbs up, although Absolute Punk rated it at a 27%.
Ooh. I don't know what the entity or the rating scale really is or means, but I agree wholeheartedly somehow also.
You know what? Absolute Punk. That's Jason. It's now Chorus FM. But yeah, Jason, we've been talking about doing some work together for the past couple years, and
nice. Hello to Jason.
That'll start this year. But
keep doing your thing. In 2007, we were about to be high school sophomores, where we would have just completed our high school sophomore year. And Punk goes acoustic number 2 drops, and we're sitting there like, wait a minute. Shit's about to get sad as fuck. No, just half kidding. But I remember I had playlists that had both the actual version of Jay-Z Ray by All Time Low and the acoustic version of Jay-Z by All Time Low.
From my iTunes library.
Yeah. I'm like, I like both. They're just different, good, great songs. I would run to both versions.
When you mentioned J.C. Ray, so I discovered All Time Low, very beginning of junior year of high school. I remember being in Miss Dietrich's class, English class, and I just going between acoustic and full band J.C. Ray. And it's funny that like I've heard so many of these songs from like this Punk Goes collection, but I never knew that it was a thing. I had dozens of songs from it and didn't know it was from these like compilation cover CDs. I didn't even know at the time a lot of them were covers.
Yeah, again, utter and absolute shock that this was a business somebody was apparently profiting off of. They're all over the place. There's no set theme other than them coming back from a brief, what seems to be hiatus, to go 80s, 90s covers. And then they double down on acoustic, be like, well, let's try the acoustic thing again. Because again, has to be cheap to do, and it. The bands are bigger, I think, on 2007, 2007's part 2.
Definitely.
Or maybe, I mean, you want me to run through them real quick?
Sure.
J.C. Ray by All Time Low, which I saw them like 2 or 3 or maybe 4 at this point years ago with Blink-182 in Pittsburgh, and they opened for Blink, and they didn't even play J.C. Ray. I was like, wasn't this their hit? And apparently, Dear Maria is the only song people give a shit about, which is crazy to me. Because J.C. Ray, like in our small circle, was just the only song in the world for like a half a calendar year. There's an acoustic version of Baby Come On by Plus 44, which to me is a meh version of a meh song by a meh band.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, when Blink split, Mark had to try to do his own thing, I'm assuming, because he felt he needed to, because Tom did. And then they wrote that one banger of a song called No It Isn't, which is a fantastic tune. But then everyone loved that so much, he's like, let's do a full 2 or 3 albums, which is an awful idea. Yeah. And you know a Mark song when you hear it. It's kind of catchy, but it doesn't have like the weird heart that Tom brings to the table.
Yeah, absolutely.
Heart stops beating, things like that. So I don't give a shit about this song or the acoustic cover.
Let me say, speaking of All Time Low and Plus 44, you saw that Alex Gaskarth and Mark Hoppus are starting a side project,
That's his last name?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Gaskarth. That's incredible.
So they're starting a side project, and Mark's hair has become quite a few memes that I think I've been tweeting out over the past few days.
Yeah, he's sticking to his look. It's kind of like in that thing you do where the drummer always wears sunglasses. Mark is pretending he's 19 still and doing the straight hair up thing, but somebody made it look like Pride Rock and had something coming off it and stuff. Which I hate to do that on the show where we just kind of recount memes, but it was a good one. Memes of the week with Reminiscent. Oh, yeah. Okay, so Say Anything, I'm realizing is a band, re-realizing for like the 45th time that they're one of my favorite bands. I have 3 exclamation points next to this. They do an acoustic cover of Whoa on this song. And I was listening to it and I forgot how fucking strong this band and song is. That line about, I can't get laid in this town without these pointy fucking shoes. Oh, man. I forgot how, like, I just fell into that band for like a long time. I think actually Hannah got me into them. She was just cooler at music than I think anybody I knew. Yeah. And she was just like, by the way, you're going to love them. And I'm like, I did exactly love them. So I was very excited to kind of revisit, because I didn't know this existed, like a lot of the songs, I guess, on any of these. Again, like there was no string at the time to tie anything together. I learned about half of these. This is one of the ones I just learned about. I was like, yes. Oh, though I guess I just read an interview with Max Bemis that he's kind of disbanded Say Anything, and it's not going to be his full-time job anymore, I guess. But that was news from about a year ago, I guess. So I can't wait. He said in the Facebook post from like a year ago, I guess, that they're going to cash in on the reunion tour at some point. So something to keep an eye out for. Relient K, I had heard this cover. I didn't know it was from Pop Punk.
Very good.
Or Punk Goes ... Yeah, Relient K does Who I Am, Hates Who I've Been, which is probably in my top 25 songs of all time, I gotta say.
Good, dude.
I don't know if I love the acoustic cover, but they nail fast and slow stuff. But the fast version is just such a wonderfully fantastic song. Is just a killer record that came out at just the right time for us to enjoy in high school.
Definitely. Yeah. God.
And I wanted your opinion on this because Mayday Parade was a band that was one of the ones on your library that I would not have known about unless I merged with your iTunes library at the time. Fucking Mayday Parade. Damn it. I was into them for we were, right? For like a little while.
Yeah.
I didn't recognize this song though. 3 Cheers for 5 Years. Do you have an opinion on the song, fast or slow version?
I mean, it's a good song. It comes off a great album that I still enjoy. I remember Sam Cray introduced me to them around the same time as All Time Low and a little bit after Relient K, I guess, but he was responsible for those three. And actually Jack's Mannequin, who's also on this album.
Yeah, Sam
and
loves
Sherwood.
Something Corporate and Relient K. I never listened to Sherwood too much. But yeah, shout out to Sam Cray because James McCallan gets mentioned a lot, but Sam should get mentioned more often for his contributions.
But I remember seeing Mayday Parade at Forward Hall, and my mom dropped me off like around the corner of the venue, you know, and I see the line of people, and there's just like 300 girls and maybe a dozen guys.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, this band is different than I imagined it.
Oh, man. I know. Oh, God. Now that you mention it about the songs I joked about earlier in the show, We the Kings, all them, I think it was me, Jake Gordon, and Doug Salawata were going to an All Time Low show in Cleveland, or that's what we told our parents. And we kind of wanted to go. And we went, and it was only 13-year-old girls. So we just went to my sister's apartment and played quarters with $3 Chuck wine or something and got like afternoon drunk on like 4 glasses of wine. But we were like, we are not going to stand 2 feet taller than all of these teen girls watching Alex from All Time Low sing JC Ray acoustic or whatever.
See, the good thing about me seeing Mayday Parade at the time is I was probably only a year or two older than these girls.
Yeah, no, this was like later.
Like
we're like, oh, All Time Low, yeah, they rock. Let's go. You know, people would come to in Erie. You could go to Buffalo, Pittsburgh, or Cleveland and catch people, and they were at the House of Blues, I think, at the time. But yeah, Mayday Parade, golly. All
right, so next we have...
That was peak, real quick, sorry. Peak hair straightening. PacSun sold like 3 different cool hoodies that were deemed cool and stripy.
Yeah.
Like every person had one of those hoodies and straightened their hair. And Mayday Parade was that straight hair band, I feel like.
I have a picture of me wearing one of those hoodies with straight hair. In fact,
picture this.
It was my junior year of high school photo.
Yeah. It was a good hoodie. I'm not hating on the hoodie.
It was great. And I remember I bought the red version because I worked at PacSun because I was one of the cool kids. And then Sam...
McGarvey.
Yeah. And then Sam McGarvey got the same one, but he got it like way after I did. And everyone's like, oh, you're copying Sam. And I was like, I got it first.
Sam was the most drifter-like figure I've ever met in my life. But he was never upset. And he got elected to serve on Student Senate. And he just would kind of come in and out of your like knowledge of what reality was at the time. Like you wouldn't see his feet move as he walked and like he might have been an apparition, but he'd always have like a really cool, like I envision, you know, the movie Silicon Valley on HBO where they're making fun of tech firms and stuff. I imagine CEOs like pay to go hang out with Sam like a shaman or something. Like, what do you think? He's like, I don't think much of anything about that. Like, what are you doing? I was just looking at this type of tree. He's like, that's it. You know, like just like inspiring the world around him. He's like the Forrest Gump of our time or something. And I mean that with all endearing love.
He's incredible.
He's the coolest.
He's absolutely incredible. Yeah.
I guess I'm trying to explain to people how you could have gotten hated on for getting a sweater of his 8 months before he started wearing it. Just because he was this mystical figure altogether
right.
Who deserves our praise. And I'm sorry you had to go through that, but it feels right even now. Punk Goes Crunk, 2008 is the year that, and that's, I put LMAO, not the band, but just a reaction in bold in the Google Doc because this is kind of probably what you remember, right, about the series.
Yeah, I mean, it stood out, and this is like when Attack Attack is hitting the scene, and they're kind of blurring the line between auto-tune, huge choruses, and they started with the rap song on their album, and for some reason they just got associated with that. It was a weird time.
Yeah.
The
Yeah, there's a blurred line between breakdowns and beats and people using autotune. Like Forever the Sickest Kids use autotune a lot. I remember being at a basketball practice and people played, is it Chiodos or Kyotos? Chiodos. And they were playing the one where he's like, if your stomach feels weak, my work here is done. I probably told this story in the pod before. I was like, what the f***? Why are they listening to Chiodos? You're like, this is incredible. Like, it was in a mix of rap songs, and it was just, they liked the breakdown. So the blurred line thing was actually kind of cool for a moment, but I think this mix itself, I don't know if problematic's the right word I would use, but it's definitely a hell of a thing to behold.
God, if your stomach feels weak.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Dunk.
So I think
it's like farm animal growls, like full blast.
So this was my introduction to the main when they covered I Want to Love You by Akon.
I might argue that it was everybody's first and only experience with the main, because I fucking dare you to name anything else they've done. This has to be the only reason they're famous. I can't be convinced otherwise.
I loved the main, mostly because Hannah did. But yeah.
Oh, dude.
Very good.
I've been waiting to say this on the pod, but there has not been a single right moment to say it. And now this is the perfect moment. You know how at the end of this song they try to mimic what rappers say like before and after they go into the song while the beat's still going, and they're like, I ain't going back to jail and all that stuff. And I always why do you even try to do that part of it? But I've always wanted for this show, as if there was an instance to ever try this, but our version of that for this show would be as the music's fading out at the end, we sad as homie. And I have never thought of a way to bring that up to you until right now. And I'm glad we did this episode just so I could say that. But I kind of a muffled over the beat as things fade out.
Oh, that's so funny.
The least hardcore thing you could yell, but the most accurate in terms of how we feel. Anyway, they do a pretty good cover of that, I feel like.
So I wrote a note in here that I really wanted to talk about because it was along the lines of that. Give me a second here.
Okay, so I have a quick point while you're looking. This came out in 2008. In 2005, Ben Folds came out with a piano cover of Ain't Shit. So the white person tongue-in-cheek singing, right? This seems like it was a trope that had been out for a while. I thought, and again, in the age of LimeWire, I guess I would have assumed that Ben Folds song was on this particular mix. Because at this point, the term punk goes blank was, now we knew where these were coming from, right?
Yeah.
But apparently he just did that, which I guess he's more of a satirist than we thought going into it, given how Rockin' the Suburbs was making fun of Korn effort to begin with. So, but yeah, that had nothing to do with this, but this is kind of a whole album of that idea. Anyway, I was kind of surprised by that. There was no affiliation seemingly.
I don't know if it was this album, but something that Forever the Sickest Kids did that weird
2012 Charlie bit, you got it.
Yes. Where'd you find that?
It's in the notes.
Yeah, it was 2012 Charlie bit me, you got it. So weird.
Charlie Bit Me went hard though, for real. Somebody auto-tuned some clip of some British kid biting his brother in a car.
Yeah, that was good.
I kind of want to do an episode of, there's a music video Weezer did for, I think it was Pork and Beans, but it was basically a time capsule of every E-Bombs World video that had gone viral in the past 7 years. It was kind of E-Bombs World. Yeah. Taejon Day was in it and like that, the Chocolate Rain guy. So I've always kind of wanted to do that just so we could revisit a bunch of, to me, it was just a music video time capsule thing if we did a music video episode, but that's neither here nor there. Yes, there is actually a few more on this. Secret Handshake, of course, did I Wish by Skee-Lo. They did a good job. It was definitely kind of ushered in the whole, there was the We the Kings era of, or faction of bands you found out later that you should have hated. And then there was the 303 / Secret Handshake / goofy. This is really blurring the line's not even blurred. They're just kind of doing bad hip hop, almost intentionally, like almost as a joke on purpose. But then like 303, right? Like as the story goes, they got famous to take it seriously. Like people were like, I think this kind of rocks. Like, oh, they're rapping or something stupid like, right? Like it was a joke that went way too far, right? That's always what I felt like. Maybe the secret handshake was in that exact playbook, but
yeah, makes sense.
I could be way off. But secret handshake is in the same vein of the 303 in me, just kind of like they might only be famous for this cover, right?
I don't know. I never paid too much attention.
It's a good cover though.
So let's move on to 2009's Punk Goes Pop 2. Oh, shit.
Hey, All Time Low did an absolute wonderful tribute to Rihanna.
Okay.
With their Umbrella cover, I felt, on the 2008 Punk Goes Crunk record.
Sure.
I'm a big fan.
All right. Well then, with that, let's jump forward 1 year to Punk Goes Pop 2, 2009.
They're rolling at this point. They are just cranking them out.
We're now graduating high school. And a Static Lullaby shows up, which is super random to me, doing what I thought at the time was a really bad cover of Toxic by Britney Spears.
Ooh, I missed that one. Wow.
And I think this might be when I still gotta hold on to it for the end, but there is something interesting. A Day to Remember covers Over My Head, Cable Car by The Fray, which is very good. But the first time I ever heard A Day to Remember was them covering Since You've Been Gone by Kelly Clarkson. And it's just cool to see that come back. I was a big fan of their version of Over My Head.
So the August Spurgeon's Red song and Chiodos doing Flagpole Sitta by Harvey Danger, and to me it wasn't Punk Goes Pop, it was just bands playing other bands' songs, but like horrible matchups of it. So
okay, yeah. So
to me it's like, this isn't a pop song, this is just a band playing another rock song, and it's not a better version or different at all.
So the problem that I do have with most of the songs on these compilations is, and I was having a hard time putting the thought together in my head, but there's like a few things going on. It's cool that a band wants to take a song and make it like their own, but some of the songs are really poorly matched up. And August Burns Red just like doing, I mean, they're a very good band. I do enjoy their music. I recommended them like 2 weeks ago with their cover of Legend of Zelda, but I love what they do, but like it just did not translate to what they were doing with Baby One More Time. And his like tempo with everything was off. The screaming was bad, didn't match any of the pitches. Like it was just a fucking train wreck. And I just wish that like Fearless Records did more due diligence on like who's the band, what's their style, what song are they doing, at what point should they make it their own? Should they stay true to the song at some point? Like
any legwork at all, and this could have been a way bigger phenomenon, right? Like we are 8 of these in, and we would have had maybe 3 of these songs in our iTunes library, right? And they get so few of them right, adds to the shock that this was a successful endeavor at all, right?
Right.
Because on the same record, 4 Year Strong does Love Song by Sarah Bareilles, and that's a fantastic match, and it's so good. And that's a pop song, and it is punk going pop. But then Chiodos doing Flagpole Sitta by Harvey Danger is an interesting experiment, but I'm not sure Flagpole Sitta is pop. Plus, should have been on the 90s album, right? Like that song came out like a super long while before. So they're not even getting their own, maybe they're just blowing coke, just like do another pop I don't know, or something, just like high as hell.
The thing that drives me crazy about 4 Year Strong is like, you can just tell it was a rush job. Like,
they could have got the vocals down on the chorus.
The vocals are, I mean, they sound like raw demo vocals, and
for sure.
So I was actually, this is jumping way ahead, but when I was working with Taylor Larson in Maryland, he recorded a cover of Royals by Youth and Revolt for Punk Goes Pop. I think it was 6.
The Lord song?
Yeah. And I mean, they did a really good job with it, but like from the insight I had, listening to the band kind of like bitch about it. They were assigned the song by Fearless Records. They wanted to do Chocolate by the 1975, but it was given to I think it was Knucklepuck, because they were like bigger at the time, and like the band was just told like record this song, and they kind of just like tacked it on to this 10-day recording session that they had to do an EP. So they spent like a day and a half on it, which a day and a half to do a song is, I mean, I think they put a lot more effort into their version than other bands did at the time, but like it didn't really seem like it was something they wanted to do, and they had to rush through it. I think it still turned out very well, but it was like they were writing it as they were recording it. And I think that seems like how all of these albums have gone down. Fearless Records is like, you band, do this song, tack it onto the next section. Pump, right. Who cares about like a good master?
Right. If it's not one of the probably like up to 5 they planned to go viral or whatever that phrase would have meant at the time, then it probably didn't matter. If it was an end of the record, like, come on, August Burns Red, just fucking give us a recording.
Well, exactly. And you can hear like the drums aren't quantized, so like the band, it seems like the label didn't want to invest the time and money into like making it a proper track.
And they didn't have to, right? Keep the overhead low and just see how many of these things you can move.
Kind of, but like that's such bad business. I don't know, dude. I mean, Fearless Records is a great label.
We're only like halfway through the total number of things they did.
I know. And
we're going to stop at a certain point after we get out of high school because there's like a ton of Punkos Pops.
There's so many, but I really, really, really want to talk about classic rock.
Well, real quick, moving on to classic rock, which came out in 2010. The one that I wanted to touch on real quick on Punkos Pop 2 from 2009. Yeah. Breathe Carolina doing See You Again by Miley Cyrus explains the entire decade to me. I can't even begin to explain what Breathe Carolina is or was, but those who lived through it know, right? And them doing a Miley Cyrus song is not a stretch for them. It was actually a really good pairing. And See You Again was before she was barely post Hannah Montana era. Like this was like one of her first texty teen lingo hits. So, gosh darn, I should say. Very interesting just to see these names and have to remind ourselves that this was a thing that happened.
Yeah.
But yes, goes classic rock in 2010. Hit me.
Can we talk about the elephant in the room? Never Shout Never attempting a shortened version of Bohemian Rhapsody.
Okay, so I wrote in the notes I refused to listen to Never Shout Never's cover of Bohemian Rhapsody.
And now
that you're telling me that it was shorter.
You're so lucky. I think it was abbreviated.
He was like what, a Facebook, early Facebook or late MySpace famous. He just had like an interesting like, I got a ukulele and I'm happy. And I think he was on like The Late Show like 7 years ago or something. I was like, how is Never Shout Never famous? And I hate it, dude, and everything about it.
Everyone wanted to be him, including me, and
he was so like
horrible.
I don't know. Can you give me a quick lowdown on what it was and how he got famous and what his whole deal was? And is he actually bad?
No, I mean he's okay. I mean, attempting Bohemian Rhapsody is kind of a move. I feel like you just don't touch it. Yeah. But I don't know. It was like super cutesy, over the top. Making a heart with your hands, like
the Justin Bieber of the pop punk scene or something.
But probably even more like androgynous than that. It was 2009.
Yeah, he's talking about telling his mom he's going to shoot himself and stuff, and the guy's like making heart signs with his ukulele and stuff. Didn't mean to make you cry. I didn't listen to it, but now I kind of want to in a weird sadistic way. Anyway, The Almost, which was the red-haired drummer from The Used.
This is from Under Oath.
From Under Oath. See, they had what was their song? They had one hit, and it was on WBRG.
Dude, Under Oath was amazing.
No, not Under Oath. The Almost.
Say This Sooner.
Say This Sooner.
Yeah.
That song was a good one. Yeah, The Almost. How'd they do with Free Fallin'? I didn't get this deep.
Dude, it might be one of my favorite cover songs of all time.
Dang. I wonder if John Mayer came out with this Free Fallin' cover around this time or a few years later anyhow.
I mean, I'm a big
Because he would
fan
probably
of-
have the most notable or like recognizable cover of Free Fallin'.
I remember like making my mom listen to this in our Honda CRV. Like, Mom, you are gonna love this.
Did she?
I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's so good. I mean, it is really good. It sounds like an honest to God like attempt
Man,
at the
almost.
song.
I haven't thought about. Oh gosh, yeah, good stuff. This is awful podcasting, but I'm just going to sit here and like marinate in the thought of "Say This Sooner" by the Almost because it friggin' rips. Okay, notables from the rest because it goes up to pop, goes
Sure.
punk 7, and I'm not going to talk about 5 different
No
knuckle pop
way.
covers.
We've got "Pour Some Sugar on Me" by the Maine.
Mm.
They did a good
so
job.
Maine, they are famous for other reasons than that one.
For
cover.
the other
A
one.
different cover.
They did a good job. They did a
Yeah.
really good job. What else do we have?
Royals, that's interesting. Youth and Revolt, I'll have to check that one out.
It's good. I mean, there is kind of like a nonsense breakdown, right? 2/3 of the way through, but their singer Truth was super good. He was a nice guy. We hung out a lot the week or so that they were there, and they took me to Warped Tour with them, and that was really nice. Mayday Parade does "We Are the Champions." Ooh. And I mean, I feel like this album had more effort put into it than the last. But still, it's like, okay, I like 3 songs and the rest are who fucking cares.
I don't know. I am just thinking about Mayday Parade and how when I took your iTunes library, there was a playlist. It wasn't a playlist. It was just their album, A Little Lesson in Romantics or whatever.
Yes.
And
It's
my
so
sister,
good.
my sister was with her friends because she took our iPods, got sunk together or synced.
Sure.
She was on a road trip with her college friends, and she was like, "A Little Lesson in Romantics. What the f*** are you going through some shit?" Like her friends were all laughing. I was like, "Shut up! I didn't even know it was there. It's the name of the album. I swear to God, Tom put it on. It wasn't even. I don't even like. What's that band? I hate that." So I've always had a grudge against Mayday Parade just for that interaction with my sister. Like A Little Lesson in Romantics. What the f*** is that? Who? What teen boy? Or at the time, right? She was poking fun. I guess you could probably say like,
Sure.
that's a pretty deep. You must have strong feelings about this playlist.
So from here, I mean, moving forward, things get really heavy. And I don't think we're going to talk about much of anything beyond here, but like Asking Alexandria shows up. Woe is Me, Of Mice and Men, Miss May I, We Came as Romans is on 3. And then it just gets heavier at 4 with like Sleeping with Sirens and just I See Stars. I mean, some people might say they're not that heavy, but Taylor Swift shows up here, being the one being covered, but yeah, they get really metal
what song?
from here. So it goes full circle. But anyway, the Taylor Swift, there's You Belong With Me, which I haven't heard. I got to look at that. And
I would have assumed it was that random pop punk version of
We're
Never Getting Back Together or whatever.
Never Getting Back. So Taylor Swift is also covered. I'm
surprised there isn't a punk goes Taylor Swift. To be quite
Yo,
honest.
I'm working on a cover of Fearless, and it
Ooh.
rips.
I guess
If I
Ryan
do
Adams
say
did in 1989, so yeah, I guess everyone's already done it anyway, so why?
He did a whole 1989 album?
Yeah, it's all right. I mean, he put about as much effort as he puts into anything, including
Oh.
his prenuptials with Miss Mandy Moore, who deserves better, quite frankly. Anyway.
Wow, so that went long.
It did go long. There's a lot of stuff to remember, and every band name brings up a whole slew of. I was a little worried it was going to run long, but here we are. You want to do
fine.
songs of the week and get out of here, so these good people can go on with their lives.
Well, yeah, we can
Or-
save the self-indulgent
or-
stuff
or
for next
We
week.
could, old school. We can tell people right now that we're just going to talk about stuff like we used to in the first 100 episodes of the show, and if they want to stick around, they can, or they can just bail now, knowing that it probably won't be worth their time. Or how do you want to play this?
Yeah, I mean, there's been some huge news the past
Do you want to give
couple
songs of the week
days.
first? Or you know what? Huge news. I'm down with you. Oh, did you already give your big away? The tease we did? What was the payoff?
Oh, I mean, just saying, like, after seeing how Youth and Revolt, which is like assigned a song, and they like were super stressed about
gotcha.
fitting into the
The
recording
rush
session.
nature of all of it.
I think it shows, and more due diligence.
They got out of it what they put into it. I
Sure.
guess. Which
Yeah,
was
that's
not a great
super
product.
fair. Super
But
fair.
but it's still happening. So who am I to say? And when again, there was very little actual, like the Wikipedia pages have nothing.
Yeah,
There
nothing.
doesn't seem to be a ton of articles written about the creation of them anyway. So maybe it was just a super niche thing that nobody cares about. So thanks for indulging us, I suppose. But yeah, good for them.
You know what?
I
Yeah,
guess.
let's give our songs of the week. The people that came for the music can stick
they can
through
bail.
to that, and then we'll
I'll
talk.
keep it quick.
All right.
But I'm not gonna write you a love song. Dude, honestly, Yellow Card, everything to me.
Yeah.
Like, damn, this is a match made in heaven. I will say, the ones they got right were awesome.
Yeah. And Yellow Card, I mean, everything they touch turns to gold, except for their last 2 albums.
You know, I really hate that we haven't done, and you didn't want to let me do this episode, where we talk about Ocean Avenue, the record, or the album by Yellow Card, and I just talk about Simple Plan the whole time. Or we would do a Simple Plan episode and I just talk about Yellow Card the whole time. Like, what I love about Simple Plan is how on their record Ocean Avenue they brought violin or fiddle into it, which was very new to the punk scene at the time. You only might have seen similar sounds done by Flogging Molly or things of that nature. But Ocean Avenue obviously was the hit off that record, and I think Simple Plan really took a step forward with that record. And as a concept pod episode, you weren't super thrilled with that idea. And I was a little
Not
hurt
a
because I
full
thought it would have been so
45
fucking
minutes.
funny. And it's only because I think the lead singers sound kind of similar, and I think the two bands have similar sounds. But
Okay, gotcha.
tweet at us _reminiscent FM if you would love an episode where I pretend not to know we're talking about Simple Plan for an hour.
Avant-garde reminiscent.
yeah, exactly. Super. Yeah, they get experimental around episode 113. They lost me there. John. So I'm going to go with Sunflower from the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse soundtrack by Post Malone and Swae Lee. I believe that's how you pronounce that artist's name. Good song. Great song. Great movie. Glad I got to see it in theaters.
Awesome. There's a song that I'll throw on when I'm trying to focus on something. It's called Sorry I Like You by Burbank. They were featured on the At Cafe lo-fi hip-hop compilation that I recommended a couple months ago. It's a newer song. It's good. I mean, if you just have it on repeat, you would never know that it wasn't a 20-minute song. But it's just kind of something to zone out to, and I like it. I listened to it in the shower today.
Well, sorry, but I like it, to borrow the name of the title of the song.
All right, so if you're here for the music,
stop.
you can
this
leave.
This is where you stop, everybody. Go away. No, but for real, if you want to read Ron Carnage, we're doing the final edits. And again, you could just use this as an opportunity to read it for free if you want. Tweet at us, get after Tom, and we'll hook you up.
Yeah, so everything from here is self-indulgent.
Yeah, for sure.
But there was some big news, and when we started the podcast, it was because we were both transitioning in our lives. We each moved to new cities. We're trying to find jobs, places to live, all that stuff. And
that was the original version or goal of the show, was to talk through.
Yeah.
And it ended up playing out in the first 100. I mean, we both got married and moved to new cities in the first one. So there was definitely huge life events taking place.
And there is one of the biggest life events taking place in a couple weeks.
Ooh, lay it on me, good sir.
Reminiscent was started at the very beginning of my journey into trying to make a living podcasting.
Mm-hmm.
And I got my first paid client about a year ago, January 2nd. And I received a phone call from Tesla last Monday from my boss. And, I quote unquote work weekends there and I get health insurance, but I didn't work for 6 weeks because we were so slow and I just kept, calling in sick and shit. And it was just kind of this thing where they didn't need me. So they let me just have health insurance. But Tesla had massive layoffs. They laid off most of the Denver shop. I'm in a shop just outside of the city. So I was one of 2 remaining people in my position, and they basically
This is
said,
for their solar roofing company, right?
Yeah, for solar. So my boss was like, when you took this promotion and went part-time, we discussed this might be a possibility, but we're at the point now where you either need to go full-time or you need to quit. So I put in my notice at Tesla, and I'm going to be a self-employed podcast producer.
What?
And At first I was kind of freaking out because Friday is Megan's last day at work as well. So we're both like going to be leaving our jobs. And I was nervous for like a minute. And then right when I got off the phone, I was like, dude, I can make this work. No problem. And I was on my phone doing some twosies, looking at Instagram, whatever. And I got a Facebook message from this dude who we've been kind of like talking about doing some projects together. And he was just like, I got a bunch of stuff if you want it. And I think we have a way that we can work together in the future on more stuff. And I was like, dude, give me everything. And then another producer I've been working for since January, I wanted to talk to him about raising my rate anyway. So I did. And then he's like, hey, I have a bunch of shows coming up if you want them. And then a third producer I've been working for a while was like, hey man, I got new shows. We can raise your rates. And there's like a huge opportunity to collaborate on something that I'm not going to talk about yet, but is going to be a huge move in my career. And everything related to podcasting has happened so easily for me. You know, say like if a door's open, go through it. You know, if it's easy, pursue it because it's probably what you're supposed to do. And it was like, you know, the morning after I decided to shut down Elemental, I had 2 people asking if I can produce shows for them. And then as soon as I quit my job, a flood of other stuff comes in that can like, I've already doubled my salary in a day and it might triple with some of the stuff that's going on here soon. And
so you just got to figure out how to make it a real business, right?
Yeah. I mean, I can make,
or what I should say is I'm excited and happy, but we talked about that off the air. But this is incredible news and it's awesome. I'm super proud because that was kind of the whole goal at the beginning of this entire project. Anyway, to even start this show so that you could do a good quality sounding recording and then use it to garner clients and kind of build from there. And this show was just supposed to be an accident anyway from the start.
Yeah.
That's huge. But now you said you were on the phone with your dad.
Yeah.
And he, I think, quote, or paraphrasing here maybe, would be more accurate. He said, can't treat it like a kid mowing lawns in the neighborhood. It's time to figure out insurance and how to make it an actual business and treat it as such, right?
Yeah, it's basically like, it's not a fucking side hustle anymore. You got to stop acting like it. Like, this is a legitimate business. And you know it is. Like, I have a federal tax ID and all that shit, you know, but treating it like a business, acting like it is, because it is. I mean, it's going to be everything I have.
You have a service and you have clients. That's step one, right? What are you selling? You do that. So now you just got to cross the T's and dot the I's, which is the hard part. Or no, they're both hard parts. But hard part number 2?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's some local... So there's a thing called SCORE, and it's like a national thing. It's like Society something of Retired Executives. And it's like this free mentorship program because these like, you know, successful retired CEOs who probably got pushed out of their company want to see someone else be successful, so they like train them and some invest. And I'm going to start looking into that because like I don't have any friends who run their own businesses or are like entrepreneurs like that. So yeah, I'm really going to start digging into it. And like, this isn't just the thing I do on nights and weekends. It hasn't been for a long time, but this is going to be everything. This is it. This is what I have to support my family. And
that's pretty awesome, but also has to be pretty terrifying, right?
I don't feel scared, and that's why I think that's how I know that like this is the right thing. I'm just excited. I know that there's a lot that I don't know, and there's going to be a lot of stuff that I probably up, but like f***ing up is how I learn. And
yeah, I mean, you have a service and you have clients, so that's kind of the whole thing about having a business, right? The rest is just extras, right?
Yeah, and it's, you know, I have my hand in like a bunch of other people's production companies, so I can learn from a bunch of other people kind of doing that. I guess I do know people who are entrepreneurs doing exactly what I'm doing, but yeah, I do really want to approach this with a more like business savvy mentality, because right now I do still see it as like the side hustle, but it has been the only thing paying my bills for like 2 or 3 months now. So I do need to figure out insurance, but the fact that I just like doubled my salary, I can pay for the insurance and have more money than I did before. So like, it's like the best thing that's ever happened to me. And I can just work from home, dude. You know, I'm getting my car fixed up. I had to pay like $1,000 to get it fixed and get it legal because obviously I'm losing the company car. But like, you know, my boss is letting me stay on until March 2nd because our insurance stays until the end of the month. So I'm going to have insurance for a few months to get like, go to the dentist, get new glasses, you know, try to load up on inhalers, and then I'm fucking on my own, dude. But I haven't told anyone. The people that I produce with, I've told, but like this is the first public announcement that I've made, and it all started here. You know, like this show.
I suppose we could. I mean, I propose that we club horn it. Quite frankly, I think you should lay a few down.
So, yeah, I mean, this show was just like, this was the start. You know, I wanted to do it to learn how to successfully produce podcasts. And
right. And you mailed me this microphone that I still have.
And dude, I almost sent you another one the other day. I'm just like not getting the sound that I want out of it.
You have never once gotten the sound you wanted out of this. So forgive me if the cry of wolf is not something, you know. Yeah, anyway. By the way, the heater's back on because it's freezing in this city right now.
That's our
polar vortex on a mo. But it's very exciting. It took us 115 episodes, but you are finally transitioning to having your own. You are a small business owner.
Yeah, dude. It's a fucking dream, dude.
Yeah, good.
So
that's great. I'm trying to like use the right inflection.
Right.
That's amazing. Right? I don't know. That's amazing.
Thank you all who have been here for the journey in my
'cause it's over now.
113 episode portfolio. But no, we're going to do this show until we're dead, dude.
Yeah. Probably, until one of us has kids, probably, more realistically. But
no,
we don't want to talk reality yet. But this is interesting doing an old school version of the show. Now I can see why it didn't do as well as the music stuff, because now I don't know what to say at all other than congratulations. And it's been very fun. And I'm surprised that, you know what I'm surprised? I'm surprised the Julian Baker episode still gets so many listens. Or the one about our personal heroes and stuff.
Yeah.
Listen to the sound quality, and I feel like my voice even sounds different in that closet, in that small Cleveland Heights apartment I used to record in. It just sounds so much different and lamer. And I was way, way more intoxicated during those episodes. Actually, the soda can pop that you heard at the beginning of this episode was sparkling water.
Oh my God.
To show you how times have changed. Just having a nice spritzer before bed. Whereas the first 70 episodes were doing distance with my now wife, Jessie. So, things have changed, and it's been fun, and I'm glad it culminated to this, because the flip side of that coin was everything crashing and burning miserably. So,
right.
So, yeah. Who knows where we'll be in another 100 in terms of different cities and different things like that. So,
yeah.
But over the next several, it'd be fun to, the book's going to come out soon. So that's something we didn't see coming, and is very super exciting, because we both feel it's going to be good. I mostly just want, I don't know. I'm settled because we both think it's good, and we've had a few people read it and tell us that it's good so far. We just want to make sure there's no plot holes, but kind of the goal has been set. We just want to kind of release it into the world and see what happens at this point, right?
Yeah.
Mostly because Amazon just makes it so easy to just pump it out. So why not? But I'm already amused and satisfied with everything that's been going on there. So yeah, I don't have much to add really.
Yeah, things are just going to get interesting, man, for both of us. So
yeah, Zach will rejoin us once he gets his, he's going, lack of computer and all that. So we'll get that sorted out. And until then, it's been like old times.
Yeah, even in terms of length of this episode, let's get the out.
Over an hour. Jeez, we used to go an hour 40.
I know.
It was almost a health concern. I would buy a beer for the episode and finish all of them. We would just be close to 2 hours talking about. I guess we had to reminisce about all the different memories before we could focus solely on just music-based ones, I guess. And we almost knocked all of them out, I'm sure. So,
well, also back then we were recording at 11 p.m. and 1 a.m. is when we would start.
Right. Well, there was the stretch where my car was broken down, and I bought a ticket to see Jesse instead of getting my car fixed. So I had to walk from the bus stop, which was like 2 miles away from my house. So you very kindly would wait up for me, and that was no fun. But it was kind of fun. I guess it made for a better story. So.
I'd be up till 2 a.m. and then wake up at 5 for work, once a week. So.
And when you got up for work, I would still be awake on the floor, sprawled out, listening to super sad Julian Baker songs, just feeling every inch of what distance was what it was. But thank God that is over now. So nowadays, I just have to. I feel bad. I make my dog wait to see me and get all the pets and stuff that she deserves. She's a good pup. Actually, I feel bad. It's so cold that her paws are like the pads on her feet are like hurt to go to the bathroom. So,
yikes! Got to train her with some boots, man.
Yeah, maybe I'll knit some boots, or I can just get some. I don't knit, but I don't know why I added that step onto the boot getting process. But we'll hook it up because Arlie's a sweetheart, and I'm excited for you to be here before our 10-year class reunion in June, so you can see the new place, soon to be old place at some point. I mean, we're not going to be here forever, but. Not soon to be like, next week, we're going. We're doing it. We're getting the out of here. No, you'll see the place and you'll see the dog, and it'll be exciting. 10 years. We'll have to do a 10-year reunion bonus episode or something.
Sure. Let's interview everyone at the reunion.
Or just let Aaron Lonke talk for a while because he's such a good dude. Be like, dear world, this person actually exists, our first listener. But shout out to Matt and Amanda and JW and everyone who's been with us both for the whole thing and just recently. It's been a thrill. And Tom's parents, I guess, probably are the legacy. And sister. She always gets mad when I never mention her. But now there's like 40 people in episode, almost like up to 75, up to 100 in certain episodes. So,
Plus that one had 1,500.
Right. So it's not just like 7 people to remember anymore. I shouldn't name people by name anymore.
Right.
Because it's dozens every time. So that's also kind of a weird thing to grasp, that there are actually more than 50 people on average, which is different than 11. So thank you, whoever you are. Whether you live in Australia or Canada or England, I don't know if it's because of the "O Canada" bit that you guys are sticking around, but diversifying the audience for sure. So I'm surprised we still do "O Canada," to be honest, because we didn't think the bits out very much. We should have new ones by now, but we have stuck to the first 3 that came to us in terms of relaxing and "O Canada," and I think that's about it. There was a brief drunken millennial thing that was.
Oh yeah,
and there was.
We had Now You Know. We had Highlight of the Week.
Yeah. That was back when we were just trying to be happy, though.
Right.
We
were so sad.
Going through a rough stretch, yeah. Like it was less of a bit and more like
reasons not to kill yourself.
Most self-indulgent version of the show for sure. But yeah, I'm glad "O Canada" stuck because I still don't know what it is, but I know I like it a lot.
Right.
So anyway, I might head to bed. And now that I've had my seltzer water and my tummy is full of tiny bubbles and it making me feel good. So, I love you, man. It's been a hell of a ride. Congrats and good luck on your new business endeavors. And thanks to everyone. It's been fun, and we'll have more Ron Carnage news soon. Very exciting stuff there. So
sounds good. I love you.
Love you too, man. Bye.
See ya. All right, everyone, thanks for sticking around for this crazy long episode. Tweet at us at _reminiscentfm and let us know what your favorite song from the Punt Goes series was. Maybe it still is. I don't know. Who's to say? Anyways, it's been awesome going along on this journey with you, and I'm excited to work from home and be able to put even a little more effort into the show. All right, love you all. Bye.
We sad as homie.
2012, Charlie bit me. You got it.